Howdy. With this video, I want to go over essay 3 and reflection number 3, and also how to access the TEL databases. The next essay is up there on Schoology. It's a medical research essay. For this essay, you're going to be researching a medical topic and telling someone's story while you do that. It's going to be about a 1,200 word minimum. Again, it's a narrative research essay. The way it's going to work is you're going to tell someone's story and put the medical research into it. That someone can be yourself. It could be someone else. I've had some do it on animals like feline leukemia. Um, can be a little difficult. It's hard to interview a cat and ask the cat how they feel about their treatment and stuff. But I've had a couple of successful essays head down that road. Also, as you're thinking about possible medical topics in the person, um, it doesn't have to be a life-threatening condition. I've had, I've certainly had some on Alzheimer's and various cancers, but I've had good ones on peanut allergies, on ACL tears. Sports injuries can work pretty well because something happens, you get treatment, and then you get rehab, and then you see if you're going to be okay later on. So sometimes that can work pretty well. Again, you can talk about yourself, you can talk about somebody else. A little easier to talk about yourself because you don't have to worry about interviewing them and trying processing that information, but it's kind of up to you and what interests you. But about 50% of the word count of the essay should be that personal narrative, you telling the person's story. Then the rest of it's going to be you putting the research into that story. So if you tell me I'm going to do breast cancer, I'm going to say, well, whose breast cancer are you going to talk about? If you type back, I don't know, then we have a problem because you're not going to be able to do half the essay, the narrative part of it. For this essay, avoid a 3-point thesis pretty much at all costs. The sample essay kind of falls into a 3-point thesis, but once you kind of go beyond that, there's going to be more than 5 paragraphs, and you're going to be talking about various components. As we start working with the topic, I'm going to try and get you to narrow that down depending on what topic you kind of choose. Some people have nice narrow topics from the beginning. If you try and tell me someone's entire story with Alzheimer's, particularly someone who's died from it, that's going to be your first book, and we got to figure out how are you going to narrow that down. You might end up talking about how a family takes care of an advanced Alzheimer's patient. You might be talking about the beginning of the disease, and trying to figure out how you're going to focus this down to a good, fairly short essay. I know the essays don't seem short when you're writing them, but we're still writing fairly short essays here. You need at least 3 really good sources, not just Wikipedia or something like that. We're going to look at the TEL databases here in a second. If you want to use other sources, if you're talking about somebody else, they count as an interview source, right? But they need to be reliable. You should know who's writing it. It should be peer reviewed. Should be dated. Shouldn't just be general stuff you find out there on the internet. Generally going to avoid books. By the time a medical book gets written, one of the doctor has to write it, then they have to get it edited, then peer reviewed, then you got to publish it, then it's got to get to your library or wherever you're finding it. That's going to be some pretty old information, probably. So the databases tend to be more up to date. Again, they're peer reviewed and maybe a little more recent information there. You need at least 2 images. Kind of depends on your topic. I had one essay on uh, uh, um, antibiotic resistant infections. Uh, Kind of almost lost my lunch on that one. Uh, but that's fine. If you don't have a particular topic that lends itself to taking a picture of the person, you can use images from your sources. But you do have to cite them in your essay. Should include a long quote, short quote, summary, and paraphrase. Should have all the fun punctuation, some figurative language, which you'll probably just do naturally as you write. I want you to avoid you're not telling me how I might deal with the disease. Hopefully, know, I don't have it. Particularly start talking about like ovarian cancer or something. I'm gonna be like, quit using you. I don't have that problem and never will. You're telling me about that for someone else's story or your story and putting the research into that story. So there's no real reason to use you except maybe at the beginning as a hook or something like that. As you think about topics, uh, one, make sure the person wants to talk about it. Uh, Sometimes students are like, well, I'll do my dad's post-traumatic stress disorder. I'm like, well, you probably won't want to talk about it. That's part of the problem with that condition, right? Also, we're going to put these on the internet, so make sure you tell the person, hey, if I write your story, it's going to go out there online. Same thing if you're writing about yourself. Make sure you keep in mind, other people in the class are going to read it, and we're going to post it in LinkedIn there. Uh, so that needs to be part of it. It's part of your consideration there. For the reflection, and this is what's going to be due next Monday, the 12th. You're going to do an annotated bibliography. What this means is you've kind of chosen your topic and you're starting to research it. One way to narrow your topic is to start doing research and see what you might want to focus on a little bit. But if you need to review things, make sure you review the MLA lecture. There's the paper, the printed version up there on Schoology, and also there's the YouTube video I posted earlier. I might want to read through that sample medical essay. It's based kind of on this assignment. She doesn't have images in there, but you can probably look at it to kind of see where she could. But for this assignment, you're going to list at least 7 sources you're considering, and you're showing me where you're doing your research. You may not end up using all of these in your essay, but you're showing me you're doing your research and you're finding sources, and the essay's starting to work out, at least on the research side. In fact, you probably won't use them all in your essay. And what you're going to find is sometimes sources repeat themselves, and you're just going to say, well, I got the same information on a different source. I don't need this one. But to do an annotated bibliography, the first thing you do once you find a good source that you're considering, you want to give the works cited entry, properly formatted, double spaced, hanging indentation. The works here, the sample one's not exactly a medical topic, but it's one I did for a Coursera course a couple of years ago. But once you give the properly formatted works cited entry, you're going to write a 35 to 50 word or so summary of what the source says and how you might use it in your essay. And again, you may end up saying, I probably won't use this in the essay, but it's kind of interesting to read. So that's what it'll look like there. You have the works cited entry, and you have the blurb under there. And again, 7 sources. This will be due a week from probably today, Monday, the day you're watching this, on the 12th. To access the TEL databases, this is where I kind of want you to kind of focus your research on. Let me get to Google here. And also, if you use the Northeast State databases, they use the TEL databases. This is something your tax money is already paid for. Your parents' tax money is already paid for. That's a good source. You might get apparently there's a company with the TEL initials, but you want the Tennessee Electronic Library here, free resources for Tennesseans, and that's us, right? If you're not from Tennessee, you can pretend you are. We're going to go to, now if you just start doing a general search over here, you might get run some problems because these are going to be a lot of journal articles, doctors writing to doctors, may be difficult to understand. We're going to go to general public because that's us. We're the general public. We want to come down here to health because we're going to be writing on medical topics. And some good sources here. The Gale Encyclopedia of Medicine is an excellent source. Health and Wellness Resource Center is another good one. Health Reference Center Academic. What these databases do is they're written for high school and college students doing research on medical topics, which is you, right? So it's probably going to be written more in layman's terms, going to be a little more comprehensive, maybe a little more general as well. You might be doing other research on something very specific, like current research on the disease or what the future looks like. But you can try any of these. We'll try the Gale Encyclopedia of Medicine first. We want to search it if we can. Hold on. Well, don't try this one. Let's go back and try the Health and Wellness Resource Center. I was hoping for the encyclopedia is a good resource, but doesn't look searchable. Here we go. The Health and Wellness Resource Center. Let's try, and you want to try and get as specific as you can. With the disease, you have to spell it right for a good search. We'll try small cell lung cancer. I'm not sure why that popped in my head, but and go ahead and do the search. This Care Notes is a pretty good one. The Gale Encyclopedia of Nursing and Allied Health is another good one. We'll just click on the first one, Care Notes. It's full text, it's peer reviewed. And it's going through different components of it. Sometimes they're pretty good, sometimes they're not. You can listen to it. One other neat thing, if you want to use this in your paper and you want to put it on an annotated bibliography assignment, you can hit the citation school tool, and it'll pop out MLA 8th edition, and you can choose other editions as well, and give you the citation right there, which is pretty cool. This article doesn't look so wonderful. I'm trying to hit the back button. We'll try this Gale Encyclopedia of Nursing and Allied Health, and it takes a little while. There we go. There's what, if you want to start smoking, that's what your lungs are going to look like, right? If you like that image, it's kind of gross, but if you want to use that image in your essay, that might be a good one. And it starts going through the causes, the symptoms, the diagnosis, the treatments. So this is looking like a really good comprehensive source, right? It's written in terms we can understand. So we've kind of hit the mother lode here. This is a good source you can use in your essay. That gives you all the information you need. If you need the citations tool, you can just click the citations tool, and boom, there it is. One problem, you should not have titles on your works cited page like that, but this gets you pretty darn close to what you need to have on your works cited page, to the point where English teaching is kind of go like, take that out. Again, this takes a little work. Sometimes these databases pop up wonderful sources. This one on lung cancer is pretty good. Quit showing that picture. If you have trouble finding sources, if you have a very, very rare disease, sometimes the databases won't have much information on it. But kind of depends. Don't let that limit you. We may end up having to go out on the internet. If you're doing lung cancer, the American Lung Society has a pretty good site. The American Cancer Society has information there. So there are good online sources, but I do want you to start with the Tennessee Electronic Library. Start learning how to use the databases. This is what you're going to be using when you hit college. So a lot to think about. If you're not sure, if you're like, my whole family's always been healthy, well, keep in mind that the fact that you're alive means your mother went through a pretty serious medical procedure in giving birth to you, right? I don't know if you want to talk about that, but talk to your parents. They probably, nobody's been perfectly healthy all their lives, probably. The flu can be a good, interesting topic for an essay. But I'm going to hush up here. If you have questions about topics, this is where we gotta kind of have to start emailing each other. Say, I want to do this. And I'll say, like, well, what are you going to do here? And that's pretty normal. Just popping up with the perfect topic the first time you think of something is probably not too likely. So be sure you email me, and I'll try and help you out as best I can. But I'm going to hush up here, and we'll talk to you later. Bye bye.